So a lot of people, what's going on? Psych Perspectives, giofvcks. A lot of people have mixed opinions, views when it comes to the stimulus package. And honestly, for great reasons. I mean, if we're being honest, right? Like, if we're really being honest, $1,200 is not a lot of money to some, and then $1,200 is a major help to others. So, that's why it's like some people are happy, some people are mad, some people are blah or okay or whatever. Everyone has different opinions and perspectives, on the $1,200 stimulus package. To me, again, we should probably be receiving $2,400, just to be honest. And even $2,400, again, if you're on the East Coast, West Coast, that'll help more of you pay your rent, your mortgages, but it's still going to leave people without, and then it kind of, it's one of those situations where there's so many ways of looking at this, like, and this is just me speaking from a personal standpoint. One of the many reasons why I was never really intrigued about living in California or going back out to the West Coast is because of the high cost of living. My family, like back in the day from 2001 to 2004, we lived in Seattle, Washington, and Seattle, Washington was extremely expensive then. I mean, think about it. 2001 to 2004, my mom and her partner were paying $1,500 for our house then. We're talking 2001 and 2004. So think about that. If you're paying $1,500 then, I don't want to think about what that house is now. And we lived in Federal Way, which was like 15 to 20 minutes away from downtown Seattle. So just think about it, So if there was $1,500 a month, 18, 19 years ago, do we really want to know how much it is now? Do we? And it's stuff like that, I'm constantly thinking about, like, in retrospect to everyone that's going through this, is the fact that the cost of living was already astronomical in a lot of these locations, and fast forward now, it was already out of control before coronavirus. So here we are in the coronavirus pandemic, and it's not getting any better anytime sooner. And in many ways, there was a movie that came out, I want to say 2011, 2012, Olympus Has Fallen. And honestly, that's kind of how I'm looking at this whole situation in the USA, is that we're literally, well, in many ways, we've been watching the USA as a country go down the drain for decades, if we just want it to be honest. And then for many of us that are a part of marginalized communities, this country has never really been a good country for people in marginalized communities. So everyone is freaking out. Like, so many people are freaking out. And then a lot of people in marginalized communities are sitting back kind of like, well, to be honest, this place has been a shit show for a while. And it's crazy, right? Because if we remember a couple of years ago, President Trump, 45, literally got up and was like, yeah, and all of these shithole countries. And then here we are today, fast forward, in this shithole country. Because, I mean, you claim to be the wealthiest, the most powerful, the most intelligent, the most well-rounded, the exceptional United States of America. Yet, you have allowed large populations of your citizens to live in poverty. And it's not just one person in the household a couple of people in the household. No, these are entire families, communities of people who have been in poverty. Not only have they been in poverty, but these are also entire families and communities that have generational poverty. You know, the grandmother was in poverty, the mother's in poverty, the grandchild is in poverty. You know, literally generational poverty. And this is something that I don't think is talked about enough in our communities. Like, it's not talked about enough. Like, seriously. Like, what kind of country can sit up and brag about people being in poverty and then think, oh, well, that's okay, you know? We can still be the wealthiest country, even though we have a large population of people that are living paycheck to paycheck, that don't know when their next meal is going to come, trying to figure out if they're going to, like I said, do we pay the rent or do we get food? You know, do we pay the phone bill or do we have electricity? You know, these are the questions that a lot of people have been asking for decades. This is not a new situation. This is not a new phenomenon. This is what's been going on in our communities. So that's just, it's sad, you know, when you sit down and look at it. So when I look at the situations with the high cost of living on the East Coast and the West Coast, and then, you know, sporadically throughout the country, we're seeing how the price of living continues to rise, to increase. However, our wages continue to be low, continue to be stagnant. I mean, again, the federal minimum wage in the USA is $7.25 an hour and hasn't been increased since 2009. It is now 2020. It has been 11 years, basically, since our minimum wage has been increased, which is ridiculous. Like, it is 2020 and we're still sitting up here, you know, trying to tell people that they can live off a minimum wage. They can live off $7.25. Now, individual states have increased the living wages, you know, or living wages have increased their minimum wage. Like in my state, I believe it's $9.25. It's $2 more than the federal minimum wage. But even then, you're not going to be living well on $9.25 an hour. And another thing that I want to bring up too is everyone keeps talking about, you know, hey, we got, we have $15 an hour. That's the living wage. That's what we need to be moving forward to. Is it a step in the right direction? Of course it's a step in the right direction. But is $15 a living wage in 2020? Hell no. See, this is what gets on my nerves too with us as a country. We're so backwards. Like, we've been arguing about 15 an hour for the past 5-10 years. So $15 was a living wage 5-10 years ago, not today. People are already making $15 an hour and still barely making ends meet, still living paycheck to paycheck. Again, this country is so slow to progress. So a lot of the stuff that we hold dear to us, especially when we were doing Occupy Wall Street, you know, remember like 2008 to like 2011, Occupy Wall Street, because a lot of people lost their jobs, you know, during the recession. A lot of people are losing their jobs now. You know, we have an estimated 16 million Americans who are applying for unemployment. We are headed to 34% unemployment. Like, I'm just being honest. We're headed there. And a lot of these jobs, you know, and someone else mentioned this, and I'm going to do another video. Hold on.